can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel in partnership with sharpbetting.co.uk, your home of betting tips and analysis on boxing, horse racing, basketball, a wide range of sports. So please do check them out in the link in the description at sharpbetting.co.uk. Elliot, we are here in preview mode once again, as always, when you and I are on a video together. This time it is one of the fights happening on the Canelo against William Skull undercard in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It is the return of Big Martin Bakole as he faces Efe Ajagba in a heavyweight contest. As always with our previews, we'll go through our thoughts and kind of give our predictions on the fight, as well as talking about a few other pressing topics, I suppose, with each fighter. So without further ado, Elliot, take it away. Tell me how this one goes. Martin Bakole, Efe Ajagba, what are your thoughts and how does it play out?
My thoughts, my initial thoughts, to be honest with you, are like I'm still mad with Bakole. To be honest, I'm still really frustrated by what we saw that time against Parker. No, it's not necessarily his fault, but well, it is his fault actually. He signed up to fight him when he travelled, like 99 hours, or whatever, from Congo to Saudi to sort of do it. But I feel like I'm still so frustrated because we were kind of high on Bakole before them, sitting there thinking, this is a guy's potential future world champion in waiting, and he comes out there on what was quite clearly a money grab. The towel comes in the first time and gets a dig, and then off into the sunset and sort of designer clothing around the malls of Dubai he goes. So I was frustrated a bit about that, but I think I still like Martin Bakole as a fighter. To be honest with you, I think this is the fight that obviously he should have been sort of training for and preparing for. And I think for me, he's got far too much for Ajagba. I think Bakole will come through this if he's back and he's motivated. And he's had a proper sort of camp. Big stoppage from Big Martin, to be perfectly honest with you, for me. He was on the sort of momentum that he had as well. What he did to Jared Anderson, very, very impressive. Battered him all over the ring. And you sort of like what he did to Tony Yoke, obviously, when he was underdog there, obviously battering around the ring, but to get a decision, obviously, in France as well. Kuzma, another good win as well. So he's kind of been building. His level's been coming. For some time, and I feel like he's kind of within the discussion now of maybe having a big fight, big sort of title fight is kind of not too far away from him, to be perfectly honest with you. Now look at comparatively, Efe Ajagba's been in again. 6'6", big guy, obviously hits hard. Been in there. I've been in that Vianello win last time out, which is win. That's a good win, to be honest with you. I think Guido Vianello's a good fighter, but you look at kind of the names he's been in with, not necessarily got the kind of same power. The Frank Sanchez loss was a decent performance. Frank Sanchez is a good fighter. I actually rate Frank Sanchez, but he seems to have disappeared a bit as well. So obviously got some. It'll be a kind of challenging night, I suppose, for Bakole in that respect. But I fully expect him to come through it, to be honest, if he's got the kind of conditioning and the fitness. And I think a stoppage second half of the fight for me, middle to second middle, somewhere around sort of 7-8 for me is where I'll be going with this one.
Yeah, interesting, mate. I'm with you. I think you've kind of got to ignore the Bakole Parker fight, really, in my eyes. As you said, I think that was maybe a bit of a cash grab. And one of those where it was a win-win. If you do somehow land and knock Parker out, unbelievable. If you don't, you've got all the excuses there ready because you aren't in shape, you haven't been training, you've travelled from the other side of the world. Like they're all ready-made excuses. So fair play to him. But I'm not really reading into that. I'm looking at the Martin Bakole that we've seen fights previous to that where he's actually trained, he's turned up, with notice, blah blah blah. And I think Martin Bakole will stop Efe Ajagba as well. I don't actually rate Efe Ajagba that highly. You said there you do kind of rate Frank Sanchez. I don't. I don't think Frank Sanchez is that good. I knew he was going to get beat by Caballal. Just going to say that now. Never really rated Frank Sanchez. And Frank Sanchez beat Ajagba comfortably enough. Think obviously Ajagba had that win again. He has that Vianella one. You said good old Stephen chose another one. The Kosabutski one. I actually thought he was going to lose that fight, but then there was the way that was stopped. I can't remember exactly what happened, but it was a bit of a madness where it was like a disgraceful fight and Jagba got the win. Kosabowski did something stupid, might have got disqualified or whatever. I'm not saying he wouldn't have won that fight, but I just don't think Jagba was on Bakole's level personally. See Bakole winning. Like you, I do see it being a stoppage. Probably does he blast him out of there early? Not for me. Maybe I'll go. The earliest I could see would be about round 4. The latest I could see would be around 8, 9. So probably in those mid rounds where I'm looking. Those if you're doing it in a betting perspective, round 5 to 8, that middle third of the fight is probably where I'm seeing Martin Bakole get the job done here. Sticking with Big Martin, Elliot. You mentioned there at the start that before the Parker fight, we were kind of talking about him as a possible heir to the throne of whether that be Usyk or Dubois. Obviously, has a belt as well. Do you see Martin Bakole ever becoming world heavyweight champion?
Yeah, I feel like this is a good question because on this channel, you usually ask me this, and usually we have to kind of, sort of leave on a sort of down note, and so the answer being no. But I actually think in this case, we're on an up trend. I do actually think he could become world champion. I really do. I look at the kind of landscape. Fury's allegedly retired. Usyk's obviously getting older. Daniel Dubois, young guys, I was probably his main threat really for kind of keeping the belts. Or Tuma as well, to be fair. But I look at the names that are kind of outgoing as well. Zhang, the likes that are still in the division as well. Caballero, Wardley coming through. And to be honest with you, I think Bakole's got a great chance against all of those names, really. The ones that are sort of still active, I really do. I could kind of see him definitely competing for a world title, and I could really see him winning a world title. Yeah, I really could. I think the only real threat for him, for me, is probably a Tuma or Daniel Dubois. If you're saying he won't fight Usyk, which I don't necessarily think he will, and that Fury's retired, I think if he fought AJ, we'll probably talk about that in a minute. I'd pack him to beat AJ as well. So I actually have him, yeah, Wardley and those guys coming through and having to beat them. So yeah, I actually do. I make him with a kind of I don't even think even like a semi-favorable kind of draw on a belt. Maybe when they get fractured, when Usyk does retire, see him fight for a vacant maybe and win it. But yeah, I really do see that he's got a chance of being a heavyweight world champion, a good one as well. Over 50% probability for me. 33 years old apparently, so I think he's got another sort of 7 years, 6, 7 years, 5, 7 years maybe. Not too many miles on the clock. So yeah, I definitely think he'll be world champion. Yeah, absolutely. How about yourself?
Um, I know what you're saying, and I kind of do think that he definitely has the attributes and the skill set and can be world champion. Like I definitely think it depends on how the land lies, I suppose. When Usyk eventually retires, depending on what happens if he's supposedly fighting Dubois in this undisputed fight, whatever happens with the belt, I could see Bakole getting into a position, picking up a vacant title, maybe even beating the champion, depending on who it may be. But there are still right now for me a couple of heavyweights that beat him. Um, but equally, as you mentioned, say in a couple of years' time when there's no Usyk, no Fury, as you said, no AJ, whatever. Yes, you have the likes of a time will be in still be will be up at the top by then, probably. Dubois will still be there. Parker will probably still be there. Do you back Bakole to beat Parker with the proper camp? Who knows? All these questions. I think he could win a world title. I wouldn't hang my hat on it and say yes, he's definitely going to come world champion. But without kind of sitting on the fence and getting splinters, mate, I could see it, but I don't say it with a huge amount of confidence because we never know. Boxing's so unpredictable. And yeah, it's just whether he gets given a shot or not, or whether he loses before getting a shot. Because let's be honest, you're not going to take a voluntary defense against Martin Bakole unless you're getting weighed in seriously for it because it's a very very dangerous fight. So yeah, that's where my head's at. Just quickly before we round off, mate, a couple of those names we've all mentioned. I just want you to tell me a yes or no, and a method of kind of victory. I'm going to throw a couple of names at you as if they were fighting next, right? That's when it is, not in a year's
Ooh.
time, 18 months, 2 years. If Martin Bakole fought these people, we're fighting these fighters this weekend instead of FA Ajagba. Who wins? So Daniel Dubois,
Possibly. Bakole could win a 50-50 fight for me. I really believe that.
Usyk,
I mean, I'll give a sentence on this. The reason I say that is because we've seen Dubois hurt before, and Bakole's relentless. He hits hard. I would probably favour Dubois. Obviously, I can't sit here and say that I'd favour Bakole because obviously Dubois got very big, very fast hands and hits very hard as well. But I do see a world where Bakole could beat Daniel Dubois if he's not switched on. But I would say they're sort of 60-40 fight for me. Sorry, keep going.
Usyk,
Usyk wins.
Joshua.
Same as Dubois. 60-40, probably favour Joshua, but I could see Bakole. I've given Bakole a very, very live chance in that fight as well.
Fury if he comes out of retirement. Parker with a full camp.
Bakole, stoppage.
Oh, there he is. There he is. Moses the timer.
Tama, stoppage.
The timer stoppage. Next
Too
as well.
fast, too fast. It's hard,
Elliot
too
Grigg
fast,
is
too
high
fast.
on Moses the timer. That's a video
Too
for
quick. Oh,
another
they're
day.
too quick.
But
I think he'd chin him. I really think he'd get hold of him. Yeah.
That's there. You heard it first here, folks. Elliot Grigg has Moses the timer at the top of the heavyweight division already. He might well be right. He might well be right. He might well be right. But yeah, no. Let's hope we get a couple of those fights before all of these fighters do hang up the gloves because they are coming into the latter stage of the career, mate. But yeah, I know you probably asked me. I'll just run through really quickly. Dubois beats Bakole. Usyk beats Bakole. Joshua for me still beats Bakole. Fury for me still beats Bakole. Bakole with a full camp beats Parker. And right now, I would still back Bakole to beat Atama as well. So that's where my head would be at. But all equal
You've pulled
fights.
it round. You know Billy Nelson's watching, baby. You've pulled it back round. That's the clip that's going to be shared on the
Yeah.
socials tonight.
Shout out to Billy Nelson if he watches this video. Big fan of Billy. But yeah, just my opinion. Just my opinion. Elliot, thanks very much for joining me. Looking forward to this one. A big heavyweight dust up on the Canelo Skull undercard in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Guys, let us know in the comments your thoughts on what we've just discussed. All of the above. Please do subscribe to the channel, like this video, and as always, yeah, check out the rest of the content on the channel. Elliot, thanks for joining me and speak to you again very soon.
Thank you very much, Paul. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching.